Get my tea.
All right, well, Robin's grabbing her tea, but let's get started with tonight. So we're at session 20, guys. Woo! 20 out of 24. Yep. Lots to celebrate. So let's check in. Just any coaching wins or successes that you want to share from this past week. So it could have to do with what we learned about last week, or it could be something totally different. But whatever you'd like to share. Hi, Kanika. Come on, I know you guys have them.
Have what? I missed it.
We're sharing coaching wins or successes. All right.
No.
Let's see. Mike's reaching for the unmute button.
How can you see that?
I can see your shoulder moving slightly, and so.
Is that what it is? Maybe I'm just grabbing my pen. Yeah, I'll go. Just a quick note from just an interesting kind of, what's the word, thought-provoking conversation in 2.0 last night around happiness versus meaning in life, and that happiness is an often cited goal for people, but really one that's really, in truth, tough to sustain. Whereas if we can substitute meaning as a goal, it takes into account a broader range of emotions on the potential scale, and really is probably a more heightened and realistic goal for life development and up-leveling of your version of yourself and things like that. So I just thought that was cool. And it's something I've carried with me through the day today.
What is kind of the personal impact for you? That.
Well, it just kind of causes a bit of a shift in my rudder, if you will, to maybe think about happiness in a different way and to focus more on the search for meaning, purpose, creating positive things in the universe, you know, and allowing the happiness to come from that, but not all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. It's definitely something to ponder, isn't it? Like, love the
You've done it too.
Oh, Kanika, wait, what did you say? Or were you talking to us?
Sorry, that was me. I'm going to go on mute.
Okay. We're just checking in on coaching wins or successes. Hi, Kellen. All right. I'm going to call in Robin.
What? My coaching successes?
Just wins or successes or something you took away. It doesn't have to be big.
Doesn't have to be big. Affirmations are great. Affirmations said out loud are better. That's my big coaching win.
Is there a certain affirmation that has helped you through your week?
No, I was thinking of a client. She found the power of affirmations. I don't think she'd ever really used them. I don't think she'd ever really said them out loud. When you say an affirmation out loud, it has so much more meaning. So it was a good session.
That's cool. Yeah, there's so many times where people have those affirmations, but they don't say them out loud, or they don't
say them with meaning, say them with purpose, say them with, yeah.
Say it like you believe it.
Whole new, yeah.
Yeah, it's different from having something written on a page to sing it out there, and it's like, I can either embrace this or put it back on the paper.
Right.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing, Robin. Sarah, what do you want to share?
Well, I'm thinking away. I don't know. I had one thing happen today that was kind of an awareness that was neat. I have a client who, she's one of my parents, but it's funny. I haven't really felt like we were doing real coaching. We would get together and she would just want to talk about a lot of things. And we talk about goals and kind of where she is in her life, and she would just talk about a lot of different things, but all really good. But I felt like, I wasn't sure how engaged she was or where she was in the process. So I kind of gave her like an out because I was like, well, I've got 3 clients, I'm good on my hours, and I don't know if she's really into. And so I sent her this email this week that was just like, thank you, for helping me with my training. And I knew she was wanting, she called me one of her subjects. Like, I knew she wanted to help me originally, and gave her a big thank you. And then I got the nicest email back that was a total surprise today. That was just like, I should be thanking you, because for her, just starting to open the door to talking to somebody else was huge. And I didn't realize that was so big for her. She was just like, it was neat. She was like, this is like a big step for me. I call them our curious conversations. Instead of coaching, I was like, we're just having curious conversations, just exploring new ideas. And it was kind of neat that she said, you're like the first person that I've ever just allowed myself to talk to about my own dreams. And so just that little step was so, to me, it was so tiny, but for her, that was huge. So I don't know, it's kind of neat just to know, even if you're not sure if you're having a big impact, you probably are more than you think. So it's pretty cool.
That's so awesome. Yeah, you never know until, like, I think just reaching out in gratitude to our clients, like, is such an amazing thing to do no matter what. Practice clients, real clients, it's such a really good thing to do. But it's so cool how that was returned to you. And, like, almost like when you give someone gratitude, they almost like, they can feel appreciated, but I feel like they realize, wow, that she might not have realized that if you hadn't reached out to, like, additionally reflect on the experience.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, it was really neat.
Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing about that, Sarah. Cool. JC, what about you?
Well, I guess I kind of had a coaching win. My practice client that I've been working with, unfortunately had to put coaching on pause for a little bit. She has a family member who is unexpectedly diagnosed with cancer and not given much time. So I decided to grab another practice client, and we did our first session because I was super late on my second overview, and it went really well. We actually had a really good flow, so I was really pleased with it.
I agree. Yay. Yeah, it was so cool, like how, you don't necessarily have to know someone. You can just jump in and be curious and be the coach, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And another win, which is more personal, I was so worried about being like becoming part of my couch after I get done with my job. I rearranged my house, my apartment. So I have like a TV like nook, and that's like the only area where like my couch is really the focal point. I've made like an office where my couch used to be. So that's like the focal point of the room now. And I love it. And I'm not going to become a bum.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we do have an accountability, JC. How did your teacup ninja routine go?
It went really well, actually. I've done a really good job kind of settling into it in the morning, especially since I redid my apartment. My table now is like right next to the window, so when the sun is coming up in the morning, I can sit and like think and clear my head. And then at the end of the day, I've been trying to like unplug from electronics and really do some reflection. And really the only bad part is now the cats seem to think we're moving, so they're super clingy because I tore my whole apartment apart. So this is what we've been doing for a few days now.
Yeah, cats don't like change. They're like, oh no.
Yeah, no.
Oh, well, cool. Thanks for sharing that, JC.
Thank you.
All right, Kellen, what about you?
Hi. What would I say? I guess the first thing I want to say is that I'd like to say hi to JC and just say that you look really good and really strong. right now.
Same.
I had a coaching session that went well. She said that she was feeling some momentum, and she felt like she was moving forward in a way that she had been striving for and hadn't really found that. And so she felt like these conversations that we've been having were kind of moving her along in a way that she had been needing. So that was really great to hear. She said that she just wanted to talk more, and she was just really into it. So I loved hearing that positive feedback. It was cool.
Hannah,
Yeah.
Whenever I mute myself, I always forget to unmute myself because I'm not used to doing it. How did that affect your confidence, Kellen, when you heard that?
Yeah, it felt good. It felt nice. I think that I was a little on the fence about whether or not she felt like she was benefiting from it. I wasn't sure. So just to really hear it in her voice, and it wasn't just her words, but it was just, really coming through that she had kind of been able to break through and get some traction. I thought it was really lovely.
That's cool. And it's showing that coaching's working and that, she's getting what she needs. That's really cool.
Yes.
Definitely a win. Thanks, Kellen. Kanika, what about you?
I need a quick summary on what we're discussing. I missed the last class.
Oh, what was that? Oh, I didn't quite catch what you said, Kanika.
I just need a quick update on what we're discussing.
Oh, yeah, we're just
Is it something related to last class?
Yeah, we're just discussing. It could be from the last class or just any coaching wins or successes that you want to share.
Okay. So I'm coaching a friend of mine who's basically she had a baby like 2 years back, but she's yet to go back to work and she's getting a little depressed now. But her husband is of the belief that he doesn't want to get a helper to take care of the baby. So she's sort of fighting that out right now. So and then she's super unhealthy. So it's she's somewhere in the middle there. But I think when we did our first session, after 2 sessions, I think the feedback that I got from her was that she feels like she's getting an action plan ready. And she was extremely happy about it. And I think she realized what coaching is, because in my part of the world, people don't really know what wellness coaching or life coaching is much. It's not that common. So I think people here realize it after they've had a session or 2. So that's really good. Trying to spread the wings of coaching in this part of the world, I would say.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And I know, it's uncommon, but the more that you just even talk to people about it, it's going to spread the word, and you're going to be one of the few that do it.
Oh, well. I mean, they're there, but I think largely in the corporate side of things. So yeah.
Very cool. And it's cool that it seems like you're really approaching your client with empathy and compassion too, and that is so important. And it's such a gift, just like listening is, just having that empathy.
Thank you.
Eddie, what about you?
Okay, I need to turn off the camera because sometimes my internet freezes. All right, can you repeat the question for me, because I lost few space?
Yeah, we're just going around the room sharing coaching wins or successes. So what you would like.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'd like to talk about the breakthroughs. And I get my clients have a breakthrough in the limited beliefs. After I start to do the action plan, and we work in the agenda step by step. I keep track the agenda. I have this guy, the guy I send you the record. He's how can I say? He like change the subject. You know, we work in one plan, and he start working this plan. But when I start asking him, he changed the subject. You know, and put him back. And what we're talking about in the beginning is challenge. But I get that in the last two sections, and he has a huge breakthrough, and I'm so excited for this.
That's so cool. Yeah, because we just have to consistently pull them back and to the agenda.
Yeah.
Even asking why they're avoiding something can be super powerful.
Always I ask what he wants, and he's changed. And in one section, he say, "Oh, I want to work and release 10 pounds." And in the next section, he forget about this. He jumped for another subject. Then I remember him what he told me before. Like I repeat everything that we did in the last section. It's so cool.
That's cool. Yeah, keeping it fresh and having accountability in the beginning.
Accountability, exactly.
Yeah. So good. Great job. Well, I'll share my win with you guys, and actually I'm going to show you, okay? So this might not make sense at first. This is what happened to me Monday night. The power went out, and so I was literally like this in class, and it was funny because I wasn't expecting it at all, and all of a sudden everyone went dark, and I was out of class, and I was like, I was amazed at how composed I was. Like all of a sudden I was like, oh, turn on my personal hotspot, connect it, and I was back within 30 seconds, and I was so thankful. But it was funny because everyone was like, that was crazy. Like, does she need to do that? She has my attention now. It was just hilarious. So I think it was a win just because I could have gotten really frazzled and started freaking out. I was like, nope, do this. And so that was kind of fun. And just, I feel like in coaching or just in life, there's always those unexpected things that can throw us or we can learn from them. And I was like, wow, I've come a long way from freaking out when something unexpected happens. So I actually learned something about myself. I thought that was kind of cool because I tend to be kind of on the edge, oh no, what's going to happen kind of person in life. And so, I didn't even worry about the baby or anything. I just stayed in here and was done. So that's my little win or just.
Well, good for you. Yay.
Yep. All right. Yeah, it was funny though, because my husband said the baby was asleep and all of a sudden baby woke up when the lights went off. And I was like, that's so strange. How did he know? His eyes were closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, tonight we're going into clearing, paraphrasing, and the bird's eye view. And what I think really connect all these tools together is they really open more opportunities for exploration. They really open things up, or there's new territory that comes out of them, or there's just possibilities. Did we talk about clearing in the beginning of class? Because I know they switched the placement of where it was.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah.
Okay. So let's do a pop quiz on clearing. What are kind of the rules of clearing?
There's a time frame.
Okay, time frame. Okay. What else?
Only the client is talking.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep. Mm-hmm. What else? What is the purpose of clearing?
Let it all out. Just get it out.
Mm-hmm. Let it out and. Let it out and. Let it go.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the purpose. The purpose is, okay, yes, 1 minute. The coach is just listening. You can nod. You can, empathize, but you want them to only talk. They agree with the time limit. You make sure that they know the purpose is to let it go, and to just let it out. And then there's a very important other step of literally shaking it off. So whether it's physically shaking it or, however they feel that they can release that or let it go. Sometimes just talking about it does it, but you want to check in on, all right, now that we've gotten that out there, let's just shake it off. Let's move on. And then the last part is setting the agenda or, focusing on what the client really wants to focus on. So let's see. Does someone want to, we can just really quickly do this, just because I know it's been a while. Does someone want to vent about something? No. Are we all on the same page with clearing? I think it's really good to just touch base in the beginning, even of sessions, and is there anything that you want to get out of the way so that we can, so we can focus on what you really want to focus on today? And that's why I think that, Eddie was talking about having the accountability, at the beginning of the last session. Check in with them on how their day's going, how their week's going, and see if there's anything, because they're like, oh, well, this happened. And like, do you want to do anything to let it go? Mike, do you have a
thought? A question. So if you invite a client to clear like this, it seems like there would be the potential for that venting exercise to maybe raise the level of their apprehension around the issue rather than letting it go. So are there specific tips or hints or guidance that you can provide to them so that it really does, in fact, clear the issue rather than re-raising it above a level where it sat before you even started?
Yeah, that's a good point. And so that's why I always check in if they want to clear or if they just want to set it aside and they can simply separate from it. There are times where things are happening, Mike, that it's not a good time for coaching. And so I've literally asked that question, like, are you up for coaching today? Like, your parents got in a huge fight and they're splitting up. You're not in a space to coach, and that's not appropriate for clearing. So I think, Mike, something key to watch out for, is it trivial? Is it something that, the power went out, you spilled something on you, you were stuck in traffic, you had a little maybe a small argument or something trivial that wasn't super serious. And then empathetically, I'm sorry that's going on. Are you up for coaching today? Because if it's trivial, Mike, it'll feel good to let it go. And it'll feel good to clear it, and they should be able to separate from it. But if it's something that's not, they might need space to process it. So they might be okay for coaching, but I would always check with them. So number one, check if it's kind of trivial. If it's, I didn't sleep at all last night. I found out, one of my family members passing away. That's devastating. That's not going to put you in that space. And then ask them. I would just ask them, do you want to clear this, or can you just shake it off right now? I would just see what the client needs. What do you guys think?
Could clearing also work if they're super excited about something? It can work in the reverse about being really excited about something good happening. Do you think?
If they really don't want to talk about that, but usually something that's trivial, is distracting, gets in the way. So if there is something distracting that they're like, oh, I'm going on vacation in 3 days, and I can't think about anything else. You can say, well, let's talk, for this set amount of time or about it, and then let's move on to what you said you really wanted to focus on today. So you could use it in that way if it's going to be a distraction, if they want to keep talking about how they're, I don't know, they're going on a vacation or something like that. But most times you can use that, and explore that at the beginning when you connect with them, and usually you can transition to a really rich agenda because there's good things happening, and you could reflect on, what do you believe about, good things continuing to happen in your life? What would that, what would be helpful to apply this excited perspective to in your life? And just, you can almost coach in that beginning time before you set the agenda. It actually leads to a really good agenda most of the time if you take that time to connect. But if they keep getting distracted, I'm waiting for, I've had clients where they weren't in the space for coaching. They were distracted, not necessarily about something bad, but they were I've worked with a lot of younger people. Oh, my boyfriend's texting me, hold on, every couple of minutes. And that's where you like, you need to make sure that's an expectation and you've designed the alliance around distractions. And anybody say, I noticed that you seem to be distracted. Are you up for coaching today, or should we reschedule?
Hey, Hannah, how did you handle that when she was going back and forth with her phone? Did you call attention to it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Actually led to really interesting conversation about like she's really happy about where the relationship is, and that I brought up like a design the alliance, like how we had designed that she wouldn't have other things pulled up so that she can get the most out of the session. So yeah, because you can, if you have a client doing that, like you've set the expectation that you would have a safe space, like that would be free of distractions. And so it's the same thing with them. So when you design that, like, you wouldn't want to hear, like, it's hard having a phone going off. Even just the act of like hearing a phone can just disrupt what you're thinking about. So I just asked about it. I wasn't like mean about it. And we actually designed it. So next time, if that happens again, how do you want me to handle it? And she's like, call me out. I'm so bad about this. And so that's what we designed. So good thought, Robin. Like definitely clearing things that might be distractions. But even taking time to acknowledge them. Like that's what brings back acknowledgement. If we acknowledge something fully and they feel like it's acknowledged, I feel good about this. I want to talk about this now. And so take time to acknowledge them if they are really focused on something that's really exciting, but may not be what they want to focus on today in that session. Okay, paraphrasing. We probably already all do it right now, right? And so this is when you either repeat back word for word, or you repeat it back with a little, like maybe a reframe or just a subtle shift. So it's basically mirroring back what they're saying to them. And what's so cool about this is sometimes people don't realize what they're saying. And when it's mirrored back to them, they almost get to, like think about what they're saying more fully. And they almost always get more insights out of it, or it opens up, like I was saying, more possibilities or more options. In this, like, I think it's so helpful even to repeat back a certain word. If you notice certain words are being said, paraphrasing though, like I wouldn't recommend not doing that after everything they say, right? Because that could feel, I don't know. I know I wouldn't necessarily like that. There might be clients that really, really value that, like more paraphrasing over others. But I think it's definitely something you want to use intuitively, like, like, oh, this would be so helpful for them to hear what they're saying. Like, oh, I noticed their shoulders slumped. That's, you almost can mirror back that too, but you can hear like the way they said something even and mirroring it back. So paraphrasing can be powerful. What do you guys think about it? It's a tool we probably already use quite a bit, but we're adding some intention to it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I use based on my intuition, but in the end, the session, I repeat everything that we say. I don't know if we're talking about that, the paraphrase is exactly like that. But I have that guy, my first client, and he is so vague, he like I told you before, he change the subject. And what I do every time, then when I feel he's go too much away, I push him back. I remember what he told me before, what he say in the beginning of the session. It is that you're talking about. It is exactly this, the paraphrase.
So,
make it clear what he say about something.
Right. So you're repeating it in the moment. So what you're saying, you're combining like reminding too, like reminding and drawing back attention to the like original topic. Paraphrasing is like in the moment. So right after they say something, and really important with paraphrasing is that you pause and let it settle. You don't say paraphrase back and then move on. You kind of leave some space for them to digest it. Oh, I didn't realize I was going off topic. That's interesting. Or, they usually gain insights. What do you guys think about paraphrasing? What have you experienced yourselves as clients or just in life? And then Robin.
It does add clarification. Sometimes they might have contradicted themselves and not realized it or something like that. So that's where the paraphrasing might be helpful.
JC, what's your thought?
I was a little bit surprised when I listened to the recording.
Yeah.
John's take on it. He had some strong feelings about it, but
Yeah.
it's included in this. So I found that interesting.
How did you take it?
I was really surprised actually that he was kind of like crapping on it so much. I mean, I understand if it's not his personal style, but I was just very surprised that he would have put that out there so bluntly, and then still have it included in our curriculum.
He was pretty clear that he didn't use it, doesn't like to use it, would only rarely use it ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
What were the objections?
He just didn't find it effective.
Yeah, he thought it took up too much time in the session, and it was too closely related to like a counseling type take on it, which I can understand, like if someone repeated back every single thing their client said, but I kind of like it. I think it adds value sometimes.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, go ahead. I think more of why that's. I remember him talking about that when I've taken classes too. And I think it's because it's overused, and sometimes instead of going deeper, sometimes people opt for paraphrasing instead of digging deeper. And so I think sometimes it's overused.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it needs to be used with intuition, and it wouldn't be something you would do all the time, every session. Like you just have to find the right moment, because and it could be, especially you don't want them to feel like you're counseling them, because I mean sometimes I get, oh, so what you're saying is this, and that it could get to that place. So you just want to be careful and know your client when it's going to be most helpful for them.
Okay, that's helpful. I didn't mean to have you defend what John was saying. I did not mean to put you on the spot, but it just caught me off guard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. There's going to be tools that you resonate with more than I do. Or Helen might find these tools are really helpful for her and her style. Sarah might really like certain thing, but I'm not really a big fan of it. And so it's not saying that you have to use this all the time, a certain amount. And you can design your relationship with coaching tools. So yeah, that's my take on it. I don't use it a whole lot either, to be honest. Mike, what do you think?
I'm kind of curious about this one because in the world of research interviewing, this is quite a big no-no because it is a form of putting words in the participant's mouth. Okay, so anytime a research interviewer says, "So what I hear you saying is blah blah blah" or something like that, you get a really hard slap on the hand. So I can see how it would work well here. I'm curious about seeing it done well so that I can learn from that, because I've been taught so long to not do that, and then a downside, I think it could also be that if you feel like you have, if you feel like you recognize what your client is trying to say and you use paraphrasing as a means to get to that when it may not in fact be accurate, then that could go down a path that's really not indicative of what they're really feeling, if that makes sense. So like I said, I'm just curious to see it done well because it's something that I've not immediately intuitive to me.
It sounds like you're wanting to be really careful with it. So there's me sort of paraphrasing, or kind of taking like what you said and said, and asked a little bit of a. So it sounds like this. I that's how I tend to do it. I usually don't say, "So you're saying this." Like it sounds like this? And then almost leaving it as a question.
As
And
a
I feel like
question. Mhm.
that's what I like to do. Like, what do you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, I can see that working. I think if I did anything close to that in my past life, I would pose it as a question, but I would also include the opposite of that question so that they are not led in one direction or the other. And so I would say, so is it that you're feeling this, or is it that you're feeling that?
Or
No?
how would you bottom line how you're feeling about this tool?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah,
Or
like
is that a question you would ask?
yeah. So you could, without leading in one way or the other.
I don't know. I think that's where I'm curious. You know, I like the idea of just repeating certain words because I think that causes them to focus on it maybe from a different direction. Okay, is that really what I meant, or is it something else? Maybe I should expand on what I was trying to say there. That kind of a thing.
Or maybe it's the wrong answer. Maybe I should rethink, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, just curious.
Yeah, it's almost like kind of the feel I'm getting for everyone is like, let's dip our toes in and see how cold the water is. Kellen, what do you think about this?
Well, I have some information from this other course, and I think it's really pretty useful. It's talking about double-sided reflections. So if a client is presenting an issue and there are sort of two sides to the issue, this gives you a way to kind of repeat back what they say, but you always want to end on the positive change that they're trying to make. So like I could give, like I have a couple of examples here. If the client says, I want to lose weight and feel better about myself, but eating is my way to de-stress and relax. So then the coach would say, eating as a way to de-stress has been important to you. On the other hand, losing weight and feeling better about yourself is also important. So it's like that's paraphrasing, but you're doing it in a very particular way to achieve a certain effect.
Right, and that's why yeah, it talks about like a slight reframe too. So that's a great example. Oh, who was going to talk? Oh, I heard someone else trying to talk. Is that just a sound coming through? Do you have anything else you want to share, Kellen, around that?
Just that, not really, just that I guess I think of paraphrasing as being effective if you're doing it in that way, not necessarily just stating what they've said just to do that. That doesn't really seem useful. But if you're sort of positioning it in a certain way to get them to think about the contrast, you know, of the two opposing features of their problem, then that might be useful.
Yeah, and now that I think back more to like times that I've used paraphrasing, it's usually not when they say something negative. It's usually to like help them really see what they're saying, and most of the time it is positive. It is more of like helping that little like subtle reframe, or that subtle, even just like the ordering the words differently sometimes can really be impactful. Like for example, someone says, you know, I drank all my water today, but I didn't work out, right? But emphasizing, so you missed your workout today, but you drank all the water you're supposed to. Like just even like that kind of ties back into what Kellen was saying. Even the order of the way you say things can be, oh yeah, I mean that is a win, you know, because sometimes we can be more bent to the things that we miss or we failed at. Other thoughts on paraphrasing?
What for me, like it kind of makes me think about flow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so one time when John was teaching, this was a long time ago, I was working with Mike and I started paraphrasing. I didn't even know really what I was doing. And he paused me and he was like, be careful not to paraphrase. And of course I was like, oh my God, John, what is he saying? Like, he's like the guru. And I was like, I don't know. I just froze up. But he said, I remember him saying, be careful not to paraphrase because it's kind of like cutting off the flow of where the client is trying to go. If you're pulling back and repeating just words, it might kind of interrupt this good space that you're in. And so it makes me think about flow, like, so maybe when you're going to use it, think, is what I'm going to repeat back going to slow down the flow or stop the flow, or is it going to make it more positive and keep it going in a forward flow direction?
Exactly. Thanks so much for sharing that, Sarah. That's a great example. So it's not necessarily don't ever paraphrase, be careful of paraphrasing, but if you just paraphrase, it's not going to be the most helpful. But having in mind where you're going and, oh man, I have this intuition to be so helpful for them to realize, you know, what they just said, or to really even mull that over again. And it would really, you know, they're saying like, oh, I've been a failure in all my goals, you know, and if they realize, oh, I did drink enough water. Wait, isn't that a success? And I feel like you just have to be really careful with when you use this and be really intentional and intuitive. And if it doesn't come natural, I mean, I feel like just trust your gut. Like there are times when you're like, do they need to, you know, I'm in level 2. I'm hearing what they're saying as if I'm them. Do they hear what they're saying? And then the last tool we're looking at is bird's eye view. I love this one. So this is basically asking from a big picture perspective.
Hannah,
What was that?
can you make it clear for me about paraphrase? What did you say about the paraphrase is when I call to the client and he says something and that is not positive, I rephrase.
Oh, I think you froze up, Eddie. Okay.
Hello?
You froze, Eddie.
Okay. Let me turn off. Just 1 second. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. What did you say about the paraphrase is when the client says something that look like he's failing in some point, but he achieves some point, I rephrase what he say and I show some positive points. It is something like that?
It may be sometimes, but I'm not saying every time there's something negative.
Of course.
But that could be an opportunity. So what I'm saying is really trust your gut and intuition of when you should paraphrase, but it's definitely something that could be overused. I feel like actively like reframing like we did last week is a lot more powerful than paraphrasing. But there are people that I've had clients request paraphrasing, to be honest. Like I've had them say like, you know, I really want to hear more. It really helps me when you say back my words to me. Okay. Like there might be people that request that. So it's not that you would, I feel like it could be overused. So be careful with it, like Sarah was saying. And just know when to best use it, when what would be helpful for them. You know, and if you're in level 2, you know, and they're talking about something and you feel yourself wondering, are they really hearing themselves? That might be fun to paraphrase. Or if they're stuck on something negative, honestly, I feel like that's the better time to reframe. What if you looked at it from a positive perspective? You know, that is, I feel like, even better for like if someone's needing a negative, like a shift. But I'm mostly talking about like reordering words in a way that emphasizes the positive. Could be really helpful for some clients.
Okay.
All right. So bird's eye view. I love this one because it's so simple and sometimes we forget about it, but it's the bigger picture perspective of a situation. And honestly, I feel like every time I do this, it is is so impactful. And I'll tell you guys a quick story. So when I was very pregnant, waddling around, feeling huge and uncomfortable, I was I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at this from a bird's eye view. And I literally could not stop laughing because from a bird's eye view, like looking down at it, it's like, oh, I look tiny. Like I look like a little dot over here. And it was just, it's like so refreshing. And so helping your client pull out of like the present or like their current situation on that level and like, okay, I want you to imagine you're a little bird in the sky. It is such a powerful perspective. Some people might resonate with, okay, you're in an airplane, you're in a hot air balloon looking down. You really could say anything. It's up in the sky. It's above where you're at, like your current situation, and looking down. What do you notice? And so many insights come out of this. Just like, hey, if someone was watching us in class from way up high, what would that would be interesting. What would that look like? And that's sounds kind of creepy, actually. Or even like when someone's exercising and like, oh, they're like, oh, I didn't have proper form or something, and they're what? If there was a bird in the sky looking down, or if you were the bird in the sky, what would it look like? It just opens the door to a new perspective. And I feel like this is so helpful. Like the bigger picture, we should do it every time we set an agenda. We don't necessarily call it bird's eye view, but we talk about like, well, what is the bigger picture with that? And I actually thought about like this recently, and I thought I'd share this kind of metaphor with you guys. When we like get the topic of the agenda, think of like you're in a camp, okay? And you want to know like the whole scope of the camp, not just like, oh, hey, this is the tent we're visiting today or whatnot. And so I think of bird's eye view, you're getting the whole scape, like you're getting a panoramic, like when you get everything, and you notice this, those things, you see them differently because you're looking at it from a bigger picture perspective. What do you guys think about that?
Is that like reading the table of contents when you open like a big book, like a textbook or cookbook or whatever, and you like read through all the chapters just so you have like a big picture of what you're getting into?
Yeah, or it's like looking at the cliff notes of a book before you like read the chapter, like getting that bigger like summary or picture of something. Robin, what are your thoughts? Or do you have something?
I don't have any thoughts on it. I think it's a good idea. But again, not always, from a bird's eye view or what's the bigger picture, or to use some other kind of phrasing. I like to use, the bigger picture view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes just having them imagine they're a bird up in the sky, if they struggle with looking at the big picture, that is so powerful. Like, I want you to imagine you're a bird in the sky right now, and you're looking at the situation through the bird's eyes. Sometimes people really resonate with that, and some people are like, oh, the big picture, But sometimes it's helpful to have them imagine they're in the sky and they're looking down. But again, with any of these tools, you're going to have to know when the right time is to use them. And I think it really comes back to intuition. But really in anything, big picture perspectives is really helpful to explore, but you might not necessarily say, from a bird's eye view, what does this look like? You might not necessarily say that. We might use it more often than we think. But I think the thing to really take away from the bird's eye view is be in level 2 listening. Really, really listen to what they're saying and what it's like for them to look at that bigger point of view. And that will really guide the conversation and the flow of the conversation into where it needs to go. Sometimes we can be really stuck on like what's happening at like our level, and when we pull out of like our immediate surroundings and look at it, it can really it generates that perspective that sometimes helps the conversation take off, as well as giving clarity. So that's the bird's eye view. And I feel like a lot of these tools are really helpful for clarity in general. So not only bringing more possibilities for the conversation, but paraphrasing, having that clarity of what they're saying mirrored back to them. Bird's eye view, they can clearly see. Maybe the bird has really, really good eyes and they can see everything happening and how it's happening. And then clearing, like sometimes we need things out of the way so we get clarity on the situation itself. What do you guys think about these tools? Okay. All right, so the hard thing is that these are ones you would use when it feels right? So it's not like, okay, I'm going to demo this and it's going to be really awkward because I'm going to try and do as many as possible. So what we're going to do is I need someone who's willing and it wants to be coached. It could be on anything. And we're going to set the agenda, and hopefully there would be opportunities for the bird's eye view and paraphrasing. But I'm not going to force it so let's see who's up for it. If no one volunteers, I can make you guys coach me.
That could be fun.
Really? You want to do it? Okay. So
when you coach down, I'm like, oh, but yeah, we could group coach you.
I saw your guys' faces light up when I said that. Okay, so let's design this. I'll have you guys coach me, but I might step out of trainer role to give you guys feedback or ideas along the way.
Okay.
So let's all try and participate though, and be intentional about if there's, clearing or bird's eye view or paraphrasing. Okay. You guys can kind of trade off. All right. Who wants to connect and set the agenda with me? You guys are all excited about this idea, and then no one's like, I don't want to go first.
Okay, Hannah, so how are you today?
I'm feeling a little bit awkward, actually.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
Just kidding.
Why would you feel awkward on a random Wednesday?
No, I'm actually doing good.
Okay.
Excited for kind of this week to wrap up and have a little time to be off next week. We're still settling into our new place, and I feel like I never have enough time with the baby. So I'm excited just to have more time.
Well, that'll be good. That'll be good. Did you have anything in particular you wanted to work on this week?
Oh, I've been thinking about all the things I want to do, and I think it'd be helpful to talk about how I might spend next week. Opposed, obviously there's gonna be some family time, but I feel like I'm gonna have some free time, and I want to be really intentional.
Okay. Okay, anybody jump in here? Come on.
We have an agenda. We
have an agenda. How do we know that we're going to, how do we know we've met the agenda? That we've been successful in our session, I'm sorry.
Well, let's wait for a second. Let's get the deeper agenda. Well, I mean, I'm cheating because I know that there's something deeper, and then get the bigger picture. So a good way to deepen the agenda, and this is a long time ago we talked about it, but ask about my being. So
okay,
how are you doing it? Being intentional, or why does being intentional matter for you? And then get the bigger impact too. So if you are able to spend this week really well, what will it mean for you? And then get the measure of success, because I'll probably have a better idea if you do that. So does someone else want to do that? Or Robin, do you want to keep doing it?
I've completely lost it, but how would being so focused and intentional this week help you?
I think next week I feel like I just, it was time well spent. So I feel like time is an investment, and what am I investing in? And if I'm intentional, then it's will be beneficial.
Okay, so now do I set the agenda? So how are we going to know that we're successful in this this session this week?
I would like to gain at least one insight about being intentional with my time.
So what you're saying is this week you want to work on setting up some things next week when you have all this extra time, and being intentional with that time, and having a clear, at least one clear item. Are you saying that you wanted like one clear to do for next week, or one clear intention?
One clear insight. So just, I think having an insight will kind of help the plan, because if I have at least one insight, or one more insight from what I already know, I think it'd be really helpful in coming up with a plan for next week.
Okay.
So Robin just used paraphrasing.
Yes, I did. I tried. Who wants to jump in and ask the first question?
Kellen's up for it.
All right. So when you think about intention, and this time that you are going to have free, do you have any direction in mind as to where you'd like to go?
I think that's a really good question, Kellen. Just make sure to ask, what ideas do you have so far? Where you want to go? I know I want to spend it really well. Like, I know I want like the week to end and not be like, oh, I just had an off week. I was lazy and didn't do anything, in my downtime. Just because I feel like I'm not going to be working, so that time I usually spend working. So teaching several classes, having appointments, and all that. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, I have that intention of like, I want to do something with this. I think it's a good time to get some more things accomplished.
I have a question. Okay, I don't know if you can do this. Can you do a bird's eye view like this? Okay. If you were a bird looking at your past life, kind of like your life in the past, and you're looking down, is there a time when you were intentional with your free time, and what did that look like?
I don't know if that quite works because it pulls into the past.
Yeah.
You could ask,
but it's a good idea.
Yeah, you could look at from a bird's eye view, what does your coming week look like? Mm-hmm. Or you can say, what do you know about yourself when you have free time?
Yes.
And I might reference back to like, well, I know from past experience this, I might get to that.
Ooh, that works. Yes. Because I'm trying to think, like, going down the path of what have you learned about yourself in the past that you could apply to your future, what you're trying to work on.
So ask what do you know about yourself when you have free time?
Ooh, what do you know about yourself when you have free time?
Good question. No. I think having a plan is so helpful, because time can really get away from you. I mean, I know that for me. And I know even more so with having a baby, my time can just disappear. Like, it can just disappear like, I'm sorry to say this, but like a stash of diapers. They just go really fast. It just goes really fast, and all of a sudden it's gone.
And somebody's running to 7-Eleven at 11 o'clock at night. No, I'm sorry.
Hasn't quite happened, but almost happened. That's how I feel about time.
How do you normally plan your time? Is that a bad question?
No, I like it. You're making me
Okay.
think. Well, I use a planner.
Okay.
I use something called the Passion Planner, which I'm a really big fan of, just because
Huh.
you can set a focus for each day, and if you have the focus for the week, you can kind of prioritize your to-dos. My biggest challenge, to be honest, is having the hands free to write things down. That's a big challenge, but I have the planner and I really enjoy using it.
So you use something called the Passion Planner, and you can set a passion for the week. What would your passion for next week be?
See, there's a
Nice.
paraphrase, and then she used a question to move us. Great job. I don't know. I think of like really spending time for gratitude, really enjoying life and enjoying time with family next week. I'm honestly anticipating a lot of drama from one side of the family, not my side. My side's not as dramatic. But my passion, I guess, is just to really have my week full of gratitude next week. And I have one of my sister's birthdays is next week too. So I'm thinking about like just being grateful for her. And she's actually one that she has 3 kids. And so she helped me a lot through my pregnancy, like with all my random questions. And now with like, is this normal with the baby? So I guess like gratitude is my passion for next week.
Okay. And how can you,
Mike, do you want to ask a question?
Who do you need to be in order to be grateful?
Oh, I need to be intentional.
yeah. That was good. I like that. How can you tie gratitude together with the things that you want to accomplish for next week?
Ooh.
Assuming that what you're talking about is like to-do items, how can you tie the two of them together?
I think I need to look at what activities I can do next week that would fill me up with the most gratitude. So the things that I really enjoy doing that maybe I haven't had time for. I think just looking at everything and seeing what I could do.
Come on, somebody bite with that one. Go ahead. Somebody bite that. Come on.
I still want to know what the relationship is between gratitude and attention.
Well, I think that there's so many opportunities to experience gratitude, but you have to be intentional about embracing it. You can't be like, oh, there's something to be grateful for. You actually have to experience it. You have to be intentional about gratitude. I'm a big fan of like gratitude. I mean, I used to be able to like go on walks, and that was like one of those places like I really tapped into gratitude, or like just taking that time to be grateful and just appreciate. I know for me, like there's certain things that are definitely like get me more in the mindset of gratitude than others, where it's just like fills me up. And so I think, but it needs to be intentional. So if like Mike, for example, one of the things for me is looking at the mountains, and it's just like, like I think about climbing a mountain and it's really big for me because when I have been able to climb, like I had a serious knee injury and surgery. And so being able to climb, it was like such a feeling of like, wow, like my body let me do this. And, and so whenever I look at the mountains, I think of like climbing to the top and looking down at life and I'm like, whoa, like I'm small and I was able to do something. And if I didn't look at the mountains, I wouldn't, be intentional about looking at the mountains. I wouldn't experience that or be reminded of that. So that's the relationship for me.
So is that like being grateful on purpose?
How could you rephrase that to an open-ended question?
Paraphrasing has to be open-ended too? Oh, God. I'm blanking. Give me a second. When are you best able to give yourself permission to be grateful?
When am I best able to give myself permission to be grateful? I think you need to talk about it. Like, if you don't talk about it, it's not necessarily I need permission. I just need to talk about it. And I think sharing gratitude is a really good way to remind yourself of it and just to share it too. One of the things I need to do next week is make sure my sister knows how grateful I am for all that she's done. Insight number 2.
Well, that's what I want to know. How do you think that sharing of gratitude affects others, like your family and friends?
I think gratitude is like the contagious, not a disease, but the contagious cold that you want to catch. Like, I feel like the more that you're grateful and you share that, like, it fills you up more, but I think it encourages others. And it's so cool to see others light up or like receive it. Yeah.
I want to get back to your week next week and your intentions. How does it look to you? How would the perfect week look to you?
That's my question.
Are you asking from a bird's eye view?
Well, I was trying to figure out how to get that in there. I'm not a great storyteller, but yes, I mean, if you were to look at your week as a whole from a bird's eye view, what would it look like to you?
I think it would. I mean, it probably won't involve sleeping in, and I'm at terms with that.
Okay, so sleeping in is good.
But I see it just at a slower pace, but there are like definite like purposeful, intentional times of doing something that is really important to me. So
are there specific things that you have in mind?
Yeah, well, I know, like, I want to get a card for my sister. I already gave her gift because she needed it for preparing Thanksgiving dinner. But I want to like go take the time to find a card for her. My best friend's also coming into town, and I need to. She just had a birthday, and she lives in like way in the boonies in Canada, and so I like only see her a couple times a year. So I think like it would involve time with her. And, I think during downtimes where it's less like I can put the baby down for a nap or something instead of working, I think there's books I want to read. And so I think I just really need to think through all the things I want to do and then really prioritize those ones that really fill me up. And this is already helping because I'm realizing the people is the way at the top of the list. Spending time
exactly. So what kind of schedule do you have for your friend coming in town and for a babysitter for your opportunities to do these things?
I need to talk to the other people involved because that's probably a good step to take, actually, is talking to the people involved. So, that's insight number 3.
My question.
Go ahead, Kanika.
What are you willing to let go if you're short on time?
Ooh.
That's good.
That's good. Good. Well, now that I've realized that people are number one, I'm willing to let go of maybe like me getting to read the book I've been wanting to read, because I realized that people are the most important in that time. So I'm willing to let go of like the books I wanted to read, or I want to go grocery shopping. And I mean, now that I'm thinking about that, that's probably something that I want to do this week, so that I don't have to go out during the holiday shopping, because it's already crazy out there. Yeah, I'm willing to let go of most of those things so I can really spend time with people I care about in that free time, because I don't get to see them that often.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's close it out. But you guys did a great job. So we got some bird's eye view, some paraphrasing. There wasn't really an option for clearing.
On your bird's eye view, like I had this vision of you on top of your mountain, you know, that you climbed, looking down, and like seeing your friends like the little Lego people, like walking into the. Here's your friend, here's your sister, and yeah.
What's cool about that, Sarah, that shows that you were in level 2. Like you were imagining what it's like to be me.
Maybe so. That's funny. Mm-hmm.
And what's cool is that, yes, we didn't use all those tools, but I think what's key is that you guys followed your intuition, and you guys got me to it. I mean, I'm excited about what we did and the insights I got. So that's the most important thing. It's not like, oh, I need to make sure I include all these tools, right? It's more of, is the client getting what they need? So Robin, you could close it out with, so Hannah, our agenda was to talk about being intentional with your time.
With your time next week, and do you think we met that agenda? Do we think we met that?
I think we did. We did that and more. Like I feel like I got several insights I'm really excited about. So in your final overviews, there is actually a question where you will ask, did we meet the agenda? Did you get what you needed to get out of our session? And so you'd want to ask it exactly like that, and I would make them say what the agenda was.
Okay.
Don't say, okay, our agenda was this. Did we meet that?
So we're going to paraphrase the agenda?
Regurgitate it. But it's interesting when you do that, if they bring up, I forgot what the agenda was. Well, how do you know if you met it then?
Right.
And sometimes, and I've talked about this with several of you, sometimes there's times where the agenda changes mid-session. And so it's so important to talk about it. Like, so for example, if I just went on a tangent about, I really need to figure out how I can invest in the people that are really most important to me. That's it's not tied to intentionality, but that's different. And so if someone changes the agenda on you, ask about it. Especially if it's different, like, is this what you want to focus on, or was that? Like, bring up the agenda. Because if it happens mid-session,
acknowledge that they are focusing on something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Definitely say something about it, and ask if that's what they really wanted to focus on. Because sometimes the deeper stuff comes out as you talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do you guys think? All right. Well, we're going to go to breakout rooms, and we're going to be intentional and intuitive about practicing bird's eye view and clearing if needed, and paraphrasing. And I think just go with your gut. Like, would it be helpful to, really be in level 2? And if you're in level 2, you'll know if, like, they need to hear what they're saying back to them. And it might be good to ask, whoever you're paired up with, what do you think about paraphrasing? How do you like that to come into play in our session? What is your relationship with paraphrasing? Some people hate it. Really, some people hate it. So that's my advice, is kind of maybe design the alliance around paraphrasing. And I mean, now that I think back to it too, I always talked about it, like, sometimes that I might repeat back what you're saying, because my job is to mirror back to you. What do you think? What do you think about that? What you're saying? And some people are like, I really like that, or, ask me a question about it. Don't paraphrase it. So yeah, let's start with that, and then set an agenda, get a measurable outcome. That's really good practice for all of us. And then be intentional with opportunities to practice paraphrasing and bird's eye view and clearing if needed. Okay. So you guys already got a little bit of practice. So what we'll do, I'll go ahead and create the rooms. Any questions before we